to Power to the Poets, Vote for Change. I'm one of your hosts, AILEEN CASSINETTO, zooming in from California. Today, Representative John Lewis, lion of civil rights and the last great symbol of moral consciousness, was laid to rest. I hope our event this evening makes some noise and gets us in some good trouble in honor of Representative Lewis. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Bethlehem and Sad Patrick, a Philadelphia duo combining soul, jazz, folk, vocals, guitar, and percussion to deliver powerful songs on the struggles of modern society. Please welcome Bethlehem and Sad Patrick.
My love is a fair, strong, honest man who stands for what is good and right. A gentle soul, a gentleman, not one to pick or back down from a fight. Hey, my love was a fair, strong, honest man who stood for what is good and right. Till a soldier in blue pulled a gun on him and shot him in the back last night. See, he didn't have the choice to walk away, nor the power to calm all the fright. And somewhere else, they would have both breathed another day, fear conquered without taking a life. Now I sit and I rage at the ways of the world, and I stand and march in these streets. Oh, with my head held high, oh, with my hands even higher, lest they make a martyr out of me. Listen to all of our stories now against 400 years of lies. And count the villains and all of your tales, and you tell me that fear isn't by design. They blamed him, oh, for the sins of his past, and they even blamed fear and darkness of nights. Oh, how I pity the one who shot my man down. Can you blame the pen for the words it writes? See, he didn't have the choice to walk away, nor the power to calm all the fright. And somewhere else, they would have both breathed another day, fear conquered without taking a life. Oh, fear conquered without taking a life. Fear conquered without taking a life. Without taking a life. This song is entitled Better Days.
Audio good, everybody?
Audio good, everybody? Thumbs up? Great, thanks. Better days. Sometimes I feel like I for my Eden is no nearer, no matter how many hills I climb. Sometimes I feel like I can't get out of my own way. See, my words all desert me, yeah, they all desert me when I finally have something to say. Sometimes it's so hard to believe in better days. Ooh, no, no. I need better days, better days. Oh, sometimes I feel like I am losing my life to what others think about me, to what they believe is right. Do you ever feel like just giving up and laying down your arms and drinking from the cup? Hey now, do you ever feel like just giving in and bathing yourself in your favorite sin? Shoot, ba-dum-dum, bloop, ba-dum-dum, ah. Sometimes it's so hard to believe in a better, yeah, yeah. Let's just run away, you and me. We can go today. We can run away. Oh, sometimes it's so hard to believe in better days. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Ed Patrick, that was phenomenal.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I have to unmute myself. That was amazing. Oh my God, that was amazing.
Thank y'all so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
So talented.
And Ed Patrick,
Love you, sis.
Love you too.
Awesome.
Thank you.
You
So inspiring.
can check us out at BSAD Music, B-E-S-A-D, like Bethlehem and Sad Patrick.
Yeah.
BSADmusic.com. We're also on all the socials at BSAD Music.
I will post your website shortly.
Fantastic.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much. Now it is my honor to introduce Harini Krishnan, the Joe Biden District Delegate to the 2020 Democratic National Convention and a California Democratic Party elected delegate, among others. Harini is also an Indian classical vocalist and lecturer, a Harvard Kennedy School Public Leadership Program candidate, as well as a San Mateo County Arts Commissioner. Welcome, Harini.
Hi, Eileen. Thank you so much for this opportunity to join this phenomenal group of artists and thought leaders. It is truly a privilege to be among you. So I first of all want to thank you for allowing me to share a few words. But I think, I think this particular event and this particular moment in time is such a critical moment. We are truly on the precipice of the most consequential election of our lifetime. As a country, every day we are facing a barrage of headlines, of xenophobic, sexist, racist policies by a president who does not reflect the voices of the people. People are struggling thanks to a global pandemic that has ravaged the world, but specifically because of the incompetence of a president who does not adhere to science and listen to scientists. We've lost 140,000 Americans. So many, countless millions have applied for unemployment. People are on the verge of being evicted from their homes, losing their jobs, losing their livelihoods. And add to that, this collective anguish that we feel as a result of the Black Lives Matter movement, which brings to light the structural racism that has deeply poisoned our union in a way that is so painful. As a South Asian American woman, as an Indian American woman, one of my first responsibilities in this moment specifically is to recognize my own implicit biases, is to recognize, how I can be an ally to help address the structural racism, because I know that this is also prevalent in my own community. And so I think every one of us, this is such a critical moment in our history. And we have to act. We have to vote this xenophobic, callous leader out of, I wouldn't say leader, I would say madman, out of office. Because there are so many people that are suffering. And it is my privilege and honor to be associated with South Asians for Biden, which is a national grassroots organization that is trying to mobilize the South Asian community to get out the vote so that we can help elect Joe Biden. Joe Biden represents everything that Donald Trump is not. He has empathy and compassion at his core, experience and intelligence, and a willingness to include diverse voices. We as a nation are strong, but we have a long way to go. And we all have to collectively work to make sure that we work for a more perfect union. And like Lion John Lewis said, this is not a moment, this is a movement. Every generation goes through their own movement to work for social justice and to work towards a more perfect union. And this is our opportunity. We all have to vote. Not only do we all have to vote, but we all have to encourage our neighbors, our family, our friends, and we have to make calls. We have to do whatever is in our power, because, we're not equal until all of us are equal. And we're not, we will not achieve that more perfect union unless all of us work together. And as an artist, I'm a Carnatic Indian classical vocalist, and I do guest lectures on the intersection of Indian classical music and jazz, specifically improvisation. And I know that I use my art as a medium for social justice. And there have been so many phenomenal poets in the past that have paved the way, like Langston Hughes, one of my favorite poets. And I know that art has a way of uniting, of healing, of inspiring. And artists as a community have not only informed the narrative for social change, but have also helped mold it. So every one of these artists that are here today with you, AILEEN, and you, AILEEN, by using your voice and your platform, are paving the way for social change. So I am so grateful to you. I'm so grateful to every one of these artists who are taking time to share their beautiful art and to advocate for change, because we all need to come together to make sure that, you know, we do everything in our power to oust this madman out of office so that we can bring compassion and empathy back into the American psyche. We truly need to. We are better than Donald Trump. Our nation is better than Donald Trump, and we deserve better. So thank you, AILEEN, for this opportunity. And I am looking forward to listening to these amazing artists.
Thank you so much, Harini, for your message, your advocacy, and your untiring service to our communities in San Mateo County and beyond. Thank you so much. Our next guest needs no introduction. It's my honor to welcome John Wesley Shipp, an award-winning actor, director, and political activist. He is known for The Flash, Dawson's Creek, and NYPD Blue. John is currently based in New York City. Hello, John. Welcome to Power to the Poets.
Hi, good to be with you. It's very good to be with you. Thank you for inviting. My sister is here. Is Karen up here with me now? I think you had invited us to tell an experience that we had in Wake Forest, North Carolina, that sort of propelled my family on a progressive track. And I think she's going to kick that off just by laying the background for the few observations that we have at this moment.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Karen, sorry, let me introduce you. I thought Karen is a singer, organist, and choral director who works as minister of music at Oakhurst Baptist Church in Decatur, Georgia. A progressive Baptist church where she is given the freedom to explore not only all kinds of music, but other religions and ideas. Karen is a social justice advocate who comes from a family of civil rights activists. Welcome also, Karen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Yeah, we had talked a little bit about, because we know that there are many, many voices to be heard tonight. And so we wanted to make sure that we didn't take up a whole lot of time. But you had asked us to tell this story about what happened to us 50 years ago. We were living in Wake Forest, North Carolina, and my brother, John, who's also on this call, and I had a party for our friends like we did every year. And in 1969, the schools had been partially integrated. So we invited both our white friends and our new black friends. And about an hour into the party, there was an explosion. Someone had driven by and pointed a double-barrel 12-gauge shotgun at our front window and pulled the trigger. And it was a miracle that no one was in the way of the blast. The next day, our father's church asked him to resign. And when he refused, they called a special business meeting and they fired him. And we were warned to move out of the parsonage as soon as possible. And we're invited actually to share the home of my geometry teacher and his wife, who had found out about the shooting the night before. And that's where we lived for the next 6 months while my father finished seminary. The things, you know, there are so many other details that I could go into. The fact that my father had been very, very influenced by the life of Martin Luther King. The fact that when Dr. King was murdered, my father dropped the tired old refrain of "we're moving too fast." And he said, if a man like that can be killed, we're not moving too fast, we're moving too slow.
And he moved to, instead of time takes time, he moved to, Karen, right? Time doesn't get you nothing but old.
That's right.
What happens in time that makes the difference. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. So, you know, Eileen, you asked me, you know, what I learned from that experience. I mean, there were so many things, but some that apply to what we're going through now. You know, the overwhelming courage and generosity of the Black community in North Carolina was, the Black churches were the only churches that would ask my father to come and preach. The white churches wouldn't touch him. And they always passed the offering plate, and they took up huge offerings. That's how we lived, because we had no income. And then they would invite us to stay after and to share a meal with them. So that was one thing that really struck me. And in the late 60s, early 70s, you know, there were 3 Black men who came to deliver us a shaving kit full of money several times. They had gone door to door in a county in North Carolina where 3 of the 4 white officials were known to be Klan members. Known to be Klan. I confirmed that this morning with a friend of mine who's still living in North Carolina. She said, yes, that's the way it was, you know? So that brings me to the next thing that I'm learning. It's one of the reasons why I'm so interested in this defunding the police movement, because it became clear to me in that event that the police, you know, as a Southern white girl, I had been taught that the police are the good guys. They're supposed to protect you. And suddenly I was aware that in some way my family had broken this unwritten contract with white supremacy that meant that we were no longer protected. And we learned that the night the sheriff came out to the house after the shooting, and he said, well, you know, we knew you were going to have some trouble out here. And then he made the comment, you know, it's kind of hard to catch them unless you catch them red-handed. And then they proceeded to lose the report for 2 days. So, you know, they misfiled it. So I got a very early lesson. I was 16. I got a very early lesson on the fact that the police had a very specific purpose, and it was to protect the way things were, which was white supremacy. Or as what I loved, James Lawson, when he spoke in John Lewis' funeral today, he talked about plantation capitalism. And you know, that really says it, because the whole foundation of the police was to protect that white supremacy. I mean, that's the whole foundation of the history of the police. So, so those are some of the things that I learned. I also learned about the connection between the Klan and the, you know, police. So it was an eye-opening experience, and it shaped the rest of my life. What can I say? And it continues to shape my life, because I see what's going on, and you know, I'm really following this movement to defund the police. So, John.
A lot of illusions were shattered that night when those 17, 18 bullets ripped through our house. It is a miracle that no one was killed. And it was interesting to suddenly find yourself on the outside. It was a real learning experience. And as Karen said, you know, it took the police 30 minutes to come 6 miles. Went in the dark candlelight and the light by the fireplace, and we were all on the floor in the back, the bullets having passed through the wall and become embedded in the fireplace. And Mom was on the phone to the police, and Dad went around the side of the house to make sure no one was going to storm the house. And yeah, when they first got there, they said, well, I guess, you know, it's kind of hard to catch him unless you catch him red-handed. And that was that. And the only reason an investigation was ever done was because the News and Observer sent reporters the day that, because we were told Dad was fired, but he preached a sermon. And talk about poetry, he got up and he sang, red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Jesus loves the little children of the world. And what does that mean? We sing it every Sunday, you know, we sing it in Sunday school, we teach it to our kids. Do we mean what that says? What do words mean to us? And The other thing that, along with realizing that the police didn't necessarily suddenly have your best interests at heart, you know, was that the press, the local press, was all against us. And Jesse Helms, who was senator who's North Carolina, accused my dad of, on TV and an editorial, of being a controversial militant minister and a communist instigator, all because he wouldn't tell his children that we couldn't have some of our friends in our home for our annual Christmas party because they were Black. He said, I can't tell people that God is love, but they can't have some of their friends into our home. So you do what you need to do, figuring he'd be fired. Had no idea, really, that we would have a shotgun blast through our home. Another thing I learned was that, you know, the press, it's so essential, but it's such a tricky thing. Of course, there was the press that's obviously against you. And I think of the people who are not here with us in this room tonight, particularly a couple of our Black friends who were picked up again and again and again by the SBI, the State Bureau of Investigation, and were questioned and re-questioned. And they tried to get my father out of that room to implicate him in staging it, you know, and that they bore the brunt of that, walking down the street, walking home. Here come, they get picked up, they get questioned, they get re-questioned. To a certain extent, I feel a certain amount of guilt sitting here, being the one addressing it. I can only address it through the eyes that I have, and it is one of learning. It is
That's
one
right.
of listening. It is, but even your friends in the press, they would try their best and they'd get it wrong. You know, you'd read what you said and you'd go, I didn't say that. That's not what happened. You know, and these were our friends. So it was very interesting. Of course, poetry, music. I'm so lucky to be in a musical family. Our father loves words. My sister, as minister of music at Oakhurst Baptist Church in Decatur, she uses music and poetry. They have a wonderful poet, Lynn Farmer, who comes up and we find inspiration and God's message in all forms. That's part of the message that's of the church, right? That's the mission statement, that God is revealed in poetry, in music, in art, in theater, in the written word and the spoken word. It was very interesting. And I want to leave with, I guess, what I took from the experience. Wake County, from which we were, you know, I don't want to say ridden out on a rail, but, you know, it was like, you know, as soon as we could leave, Dad went on to pastor the first integrated Southern Baptist church in the Southern Baptist Convention and called the first Black associate minister in the convention. Shortly, he bailed on the Southern Baptists. They took the hard turn to the right, and Dad went to the American Baptist. But Wake County, which was, we couldn't go anywhere by ourselves. We always had to have a chaperone because there were constant threats. We would be threatened at basketball games in the parking lot. Somebody's going to shoot through your damn house again, you know? So we always had Wake County in 2008 went for Barack Obama. And I get hope from that. And we said at the time, you know, what does that prove? That proves change is possible. Change is possible. So, I've noticed as an old man now that we go through waves, periods of enlightenment and contraction. Certainly the Obama years were a period of enlightenment. The last 4 years have been someone said this is the most consequential election coming up. I said, yeah, since the last one, but we didn't quite get it right. And so we've had 4 years of hell, you know, as this contraction. Well, now 2018 was a window open on another expansion. And this fall is so important, but change can happen. It can happen. It's happened. Sometimes it's 3 steps forward and 2 steps back. Sometimes it's 4 steps forward and 6 steps back. But if we stay enthused and passionate, and as passionate and enthusiastic as I am, and the strong as I feel, if I can remind myself humility, you know, say what I have to say and then shut my mouth and open my ears and learn, because I have so much to learn. Thanks to my parents, to my sister, to my brother, I have learned a lot. And thanks to everyone else who's been on this journey with us, you know, I hope to learn
Amen.
more. Will learn more. So thank you for having us, Eileen, and guests. Thank you.
Thank you so much, John and Karen. I truly believe that this story needs to be retold over and over. We need to be reminded. I know also, having known your family for almost 20 years, that you have made good trouble wherever you went and have touched many, many lives. Thank you so much for your powerful voice and your dedication to social justice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'd now like to turn you over to one of our hosts this evening, the People's Poet and Carl Sandburg Writer in Residence, Tony Robles. Take it over, Tony.
Mute. Okay, I am unmuted. Good evening, good afternoon, wherever you might be. I'm in Hendersonville, North Carolina, and it's a pleasure to be with you today. Much love, much respect to the late John Lewis, Representative John Lewis, who really just encapsulates courage and conviction and fighting the good fight and getting into what he called good trouble. Because we are in trouble right now, but we got to make sure that we differentiate what kind of trouble we're on the side of. And I see that my man, James Cagney from the East Bay, he's at the ready, full beard. And let me, I got to say, brother, the beard looks good. And anyway, Brother James Cagney is a poet from Oakland. He is a Cave Canem Fellow and a VONA, that's V-O-N-A alum, both programs that foster Black writers. He has performed in venues and museums throughout the San Francisco Bay Area. I've read with him and I've seen him read. He's a phenomenal poet. He's read in those places and beyond. He has performed in venues and museums in the San Francisco Bay Area. His first book is called Black Steel Magnolias in the Hour of Chaos Theory, and it is out now by Nomadic Press. Give it up to the poet, James Cagney.
Hey, you got me? Can you hear me? You got me? Hey, Tony. All right. Let me run through it then. I'm going to do 2 poems really quick. This is called Untied. The tongue as knife, as grenade. The tongue as pilot light to volcano. The tongue as butterfly shrapnel spraying radioactive glass. The tongue as battering ram, axe handle, desecrated cross, trigger. The tongue as begging puppy, as monster truck. The tongue Russian necktied for a joke. The tongue as assassin, a ninja jangling with blades, cross-stepping the grassy knoll. The tongue as wooden stake, silver bullet, an earthquake with lightning in its hair. The tongue begging kryptonite to freebase. The tongue as apple and serpent rolling its jellied eggs into the ear. The tongue loaded, unlicensed, and steaming with cordite, trying to finish something that never should have started. The tongue, having kissed every wound from inside out, is jealous of bone. The tongue has heard of the heart but doesn't believe in it, prefers the pulse in dice. The tongue as a wall, a trench, a gate, fool's gold in moonlight. The tongue tied into a straitjacket scatting. The tongue, a lead weight dropped onto a garden of peonies, a nest of starlings. The tongue, misfired, misplaced, misspoke in our last conversation. The tongue, armed, blows a hole through its nearest cheek. The tongue, thorny and uphill, single-bladed and double-barreled. The tongue as museum, snowing through autumn. The tongue gets it. Yes, yes, yes. But how it loves spitting no. All right. And here you go. Thank you, man. This is for your rights, I guess. You have the right to be right. You have the right to claim, to rename, to redefine. You have the right to judge, to frisk, to choke. You have the right to remain standing, to remain whole without being questioned. You have the right to ignore others' rights, to speak for all victims and tell a room full of widowed mothers to shut up. You have the right to not see color and firebomb diversity out of your field of vision. You have the right to invade, to displace, to demoralize. You have the right to feel easily threatened. You have the right to the right side of history and enjoy the good weather of a touring oppressor. You have the right to trivialize the memorials of our dead while your missing daughters are canonized, their schools closed and festooned with roses. You have the right to be inconvenienced by protests, by funerals, by the lives you didn't approve. You have the right to ride to hounds, turn lynching into fraternal hazing workouts, to turn lynching into a pop-up shop or video game app and award souvenirs. You have the right not to see the problem, to browse safari through our communities, to love wild animals while dismissing grown men as savages, as monkeys. You have the right to prefer a comfortable lie over the truth. You have the right to claim genocide as culture, to fillet weapons and sponsor the indignity of war, to see war as a product, to copyright its blood. You have the right to justify torture and take selfies with the dead. You have the right to be both victim and knight in the dark, to be the dark itself and the light glinting off the blade, to be ubiquitous and unseen. You have the right to ethnically cleanse until culturally clean and repeats. You have the right to misunderstand history just enough, then edit out the facts that make you uncomfortable. You have the right to condescend, to humiliate, to desecrate, to redefine words used against you and dismiss our testimony, to control our prescriptions while telling us we're crazy. You have the right to riot in the name of football, torch buses and dumpsters, not in your backyard, whether you win or lose. Anarchy is good fun, boys being boys and all. You have the right not to be questioned, to never be held accountable, to, in fact, do the accounting, to claim what hasn't been offered. You have the right to shoot and not be shot. You have the right to demand God act on your order with the power of now. You have the right to complain when our prayers get too loud. If you ask me to swear on a Bible, I have the right to ask if you've read it. Anything in your history can but will never be used. Knowing and understanding that if you cannot remember which of your grandparents were members of the Klan, then your history will be expunged. You have the right to hope your enemies don't read history. You have the right to have no enemies. You have the right to close your door on their grievances. You have the right not to be sorry. You have the right to be armed and assumed innocent. You have the right to protect your best interests. You have the right of way. You have the right to be right. All right, thank you guys. And don't forget to vote.
Wow.
Amazing, amazing.
Right on, James. I love that line. What was that again? The tongue tied into a straitjacket scatting.
Yes.
Was that the line?
Correct. Yes,
That's
correct.
beautiful, man.
Thank you.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Poetry that disrupts appropriately, man, and with dignity and grace, and it just pops and it sings. And thank you so much. Tell us where we can get Black Steel Magnolias.
From nomadicpress.org. It's an awesome press right here in Oakland. It's got like a huge library. So hook up your quarantine reading at nomadicpress.org.
And I know you've been active in the Bay Area too. You've been a part of some anthologies. There's been some readings, I think, at the main library as well. And you know, you've been doing a lot of good work. Yeah.
Thank you, brother. That poem I just did was out of an anthology called Civil Liberties United. I guess that was Shizwe did last year.
Shizwe Siegel was the one. So can you just repeat the title of that again?
That's called Civil Liberties United. I wish I had a copy of it, but yeah, Civil Liberties.
It's a great book by poets and writers of color from the San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, James. And we're going to continue. Thank you. We're going to continue on. Coggin, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. Coggin is a poet and author and teaching artist living in the valley of a small mountain in Hot Springs National Park, Arkansas. Correct? She is the author of 3 full-length collections, one of which is Periscope Heart, Wingspan, and Incandescent, as well as a spoken word album called Silhouette. Her poetry has been nominated 3 times for the Pushcart Prize, as well as Bettering American Poetry 2015 and Best of the Net 2016 and 2018. Kai is a teaching artist with the Arkansas Arts Council and Arkansas Learning Through the Arts, and is also the host of the longest running consecutive weekly open mic series in the country, Wednesday Night Poetry. I don't know what happened to the little doggy that picture that was just there, the little dog. But anyway, that being said, let's give it up and welcome Kai Coggin.
Thank you. It's an honor for me to be here. Thank you, Eileen. Can y'all hear me okay? Thumbs up? All right. Rest in power to John Lewis. Today, listening to that service made me remember my own sense of patriotism, because I haven't really felt it much in the last 4 years. And I do think, just to echo what Harini was saying, that artists, we have a responsibility to write the history and to sing the history and to paint the history and to dance the history. So this is our time. We need to be recording all of these atrocities that have been going on. So I'm very honored to be in this space and to share this platform with all of you. I'm going to read a poem that's called Upon Hearing 2 White Men Sing Dixie at Open Mic After the Charleston Massacre. Don't look away, Dixie. Yes, I know this is the South. This is your heritage, your Southern identity. The flag of Arkansas looks like a disguise dressed in rebel red, inverted intentions reflecting the same colors, the same lines, the same meanings when they flap boldly in the wind, a limp cloth of hate. It's hard to tell the difference. There is no difference, but I can smell a cross burning as they sing Dixie. That boyhood harmony sung from the gentle poet hearts of 2 kind old white men at an open mic still echoes like an unnamed horror, still permeates the air with visions of slave ships and cracking whips, still splashes droplets of scarlet across glowing white cotton blossoms hushed in a field, still swings like lifeless fruit. I cannot whistle a long, quiet acceptance. This sick stomach is a different kind of white flag, red flag, and these are just two kind old white men. But I cannot look away anymore. We must look history right in the eyes and see all the tears that Black mothers cry, and I can smell a Black church burning as they sing Dixie. That Confederate anthem, that left, right, left, little jolly hooray. Boys, this is no longer the land of cotton, and I know memory is a hand you are reaching for in the dark, but the crimes of man are not forgotten. I know you'll take a stand to live and die in Dixie, but your perspective on history is not the only one that matters. You see, Black lives matter, and I will not look away when another street is painted crimson with the way blood spatters and pools under a young Black boy again. No, I will not look away as neo-Confederate flag rallies are happening this weekend at Walmart parking lots across the country. No, I will not look away, because this country has done that for far too long. Do not look away. Racism flies a new old banner. The KKK is recruiting young members, and Confederate flags are selling like bigoted hotcakes. Do not look away. Do not look away. Look straight at it all, America. Do not avert or flinch your eyes. How many more Black bodies have to fall before we call it genocide? How many more Southern Black churches must burn before we call it terrorism? How many more Black mothers' tears have to ocean beneath our feet before we take a stand? All I hear is die in Dixieland. All I hear is die in Dixieland. In Dixieland, where a rebel flag flies and Black boys die or are locked in prison. Don't look away, don't look away, don't look away anymore. Sorry about that, crack. I am not a singer. I read that today in honor of John Lewis and his power and the fight that he lived his whole life to serve equality and fairness for all of us, for the Black community, but for humanity as a whole. And today made me want to get back into the fight right before this election. I think that even in his death, this is a divine timing, and he was here to relight the fires, because it's another fight. There's a fight coming, y'all. And we're almost, we're less than 100 days away. And so we need to suit up, put on our armor, and let them know that we're not going to stand for this. So this next poem is from my book, Incandescent, which I wrote right after Trump was elected. It is by Sibling Rivalry Press. And I wrote it as I was processing the grief of his election, and just what to do next. So this poem is called Where Are the Warriors? Where are the warriors? Maybe once you casually gave yourself a name: light bearer, freedom fighter, revolutionist, resistance leader, marching protester, not going to stand for this, a fist in the air. And is your fist still there? Has it fallen to your side, limp and tired in this lie-filled barrage of greed-blind backsliding by this oligarch and his dark-hearted men? Where are the warriors? This is not a battle cry. This is no call to arms. Violence begets violence, and we will not bend down to meet darkness eye to eye. We will not lower our hearts to understand congressional evils. We fight with our light. We fight with our light. Put your warrior fist in the air and leave it there, but take your other fist and open it. Stretch it out. See your 4 fingers and thumbs stretch outward with light to the corners of our country that are covered in heavy shadow. Stretch your light to the poor, the lonely, the forgotten. Stretch your light to the brown lady afraid, waiting by the border, a fence line separating her from her dream. Stretch your light to the bullied young child about to take her own life, because being gay is much harder than it seems. Stretch your light to the Black boys who need us to shield them, because the police have a quota to meet and bullets will steal them. Stretch your light to the young mother in the waiting room filled with fright, carrying a decision made from one horrible night. Stretch your light to the other warriors, because we've only begun to fight. Stretch outward to the trafficked, to the abused, to the broken, to the silenced. Stretch your fingers to the streams now clogging with refuse, to the air choking on smoke from burning coal, to the wildlife losing their wilderness, to America out of control, to the standing rock told to sit back down, to the whales wrapped in plastic who thought in a sea they would never drown. My God, how this poem could last forever in its listing of need. Meanwhile, a 1 trillion-ton glacier just fell into the sea. Where are the warriors? So much decision falls upon the wicked. School children can't unlearn hunger. Warriors who marched in pink, take your pink pussy hats off and flip them over. Fill them with as many sandwiches and apples and juice boxes you can until that hat bulges with new meaning. Women, we must know persistence. We must know that the dark reign of men must be met with our willingness to lead, to run for office, to call out the violators of goodness, to offer a new perspective of hope, to mother our country back into beauty. Where are the warriors? In Alaska, a family of bears is afraid to tuck into a curl of winter sleep because it is now lawful for hunters to shoot them while they are hibernating. While bear cubs dream of honey and daffodils, a hunter enters their warm cave and unloads rounds of ammunition shells reflecting the empty shells of his own dark heart. I write this stanza as protection, as a forming of my thoughts as a shield. Now in 2020, my thoughts as a shield around the peaceful protesters getting stormed by state or federal run police. My thoughts as a shield. A force field around every warm bear exhaling sleep. A force field around every wild fox den fresh with feisty pups. A force field that blocks maniacal trophy hunters shooting from helicopters because the bloodthirsty raid the whitest of snow. And these words I offer as protection. Energy follows thought. Energy follows thought, and I cannot stop thinking about the innocent. The innocent. The children in cages, the innocent. Where are the warriors? It is at every level that we must rise now. Where are the warriors? We must take off our earthly disguise now. Where are the warriors? Now, more than ever, it is our time to fight. Where are the warriors? In this era of darkness, we must blind them with our light. Thank you. Vote. Vote him out. There's more of us. There's more of us. Stand up, y'all. Stand up. Thank you.
Kai, thank you. Thank you so much for your powerful medicine. You said that energy follows thought, and let's do
Yes,
likewise.
indeed.
Get out there and do some healing work. You know. Now
I am.
that was
Every
from
week.
that was from Incandescent. Is that correct?
That's correct. Incandescent.
Okay. And do you have a website, Kai?
I do. I'll put it in the chat, but it's kaicoggin.com. All of my books are available there.
Okay.
But also I host Wednesday Night Poetry, which is a virtual platform. AILEEN, is it okay to say a few words about it?
Yes, of course. I also
It's
joined
the long.
Kai just got married, actually. Congratulations.
Oh,
Thank
congratulations.
you so much. Thank you. I just got to add it to my bio. My wife and I live in Hot Springs National Park, Arkansas. Yeah. Thank you, Eileen. But I host Wednesday Night Poetry, and it's the longest running consecutive weekly open mic series in the whole country. We just celebrated 1,644 weeks in a row. So I'm out there every Wednesday. Any poet is welcome to send in a video. I'm going to put my email up there. And we're just staying together, though we're so apart. We stay together, and it's just all on Facebook. So I'll put all my information in the chat, but it's kaicoggin.com. Wednesday Night Poetry on Facebook. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Flash and Karen.
You said 1,644?
Weeks in a row, over 31 years.
Well, we're going to go.
I haven't been there the whole time.
1,645 next. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony.
Wonderful, wonderful, beautiful poetry this evening. Want to welcome a brother from Sacramento, Poet Laureate Emeritus of Sacramento. Indigo Moor's fourth book of poetry, which is Everybody's Jonesing for Something, took second place in the University of Nebraska Press's Backwater Prize and will be published in spring of 2021. His second book, Through the Stonecutter's Window, won Northwestern University Press's Cave Canem Prize. His first and third books, Taproot and In the Room of Thirsts and Hungers, were both part of Main Street Rag's Editor's Select Poetry Series. In addition to poetry, Indigo has produced award-winning plays, short fiction, and essays. His stage-turned screenplay Live at the Excelsior was optioned as a full-length film. He is a former teacher at the Stone Coast MFA program and a Cave Canem Fellow. Indigo sits on the advisory boards for both the Modesto Stanislaus Poetry Center and the Sacramento Poetry Center. A 10-year veteran of the U.S. Navy and a twice decorated Gulf War veteran, Indigo divides his time between writing, teaching, and integrated circuit layout engineering. Sounds really complicated for computer companies. Please give it up and give a warm welcome to Indigo Moor.
Thank you. Yeah, for the most part, it's boring and stressful as hell, but yeah, it pays the bills. It's good to be here, and I've been doing a lot of readings over the past couple of months, and it's been wonderful. But as Kai was mentioning also, you know, there are so many battles that we're fighting and so many battles that we should be fighting. So I want to switch gears a little and read a love letter to Dr. Christine Ford from the Patriarchy. Dear Christine, what has happened to our women? I won't drag reason into your delusion, swatting at windmills with a broom. You testify as 1,000 naked cameras section you like a hog. In the 50s, we would have doused your furnace with Valium. My mother could watch hummingbirds for hours. The insides of her skull, Rorschach flashcards, but the pot roast was never late. Honey, I'm fighting for this country, cracking eagle eggs into frying pans to make us great again. Rebranding swastikas, painting the arms red-striped and blue-eyed. Hell, I'll reach my hand up Lady Liberty's copper skirt and goose the flame if I have to. Sluice purple mountains, pan the American dream from streams crimson with Native American tears. And this is how you thank the architects of paradise. Be reasonable. Drag the viper from the cigar box. Patriotism is a horse losing your name in a bet. Open this gift box, honey. Here's a charred chunk of greenwood, some faded California camp pictures. Remember how we tossed peanuts at Japanese in cages until laughter carved stitches in our kidneys? Slow your heart. Guzzle this Librium martini. Let's fold the top down, ride through the sunset like roaring Dale. We'll pinch tents in the Alamo, my guitar strung with real Mexican guts. I'm building 2 McDonald's for every crack in the wall. Christ, woman, have you ever felt safer? Take this Prozac lemon drop and voting sheet already filled out for you. Once my yacht is christened, we'll save money on fireworks, shoot immigrants from cannons on the 4th. Finish the dishes, and we'll have sex on the foreclosure papers that turn Harlem into a street mall. It won't be college fucking, but is it ever? Hush, Chrissy. Maybe you were assaulted, but I bet dollars to donuts that you enjoyed it. I want to finish with, since they're both longer poems, my first understanding of growing out of a racially charged environment. I grew up in North Carolina, was one, not really understanding it at all, just understanding that I didn't know anything. Woods to grow out of. I've learned the word exactly. And it fits me like the hymn my body calls its church. Every day school is out. I like summer for its secrets, the red clay of the South, how the word South gets a capital S and means some roads are forbidden, some neighborhoods foreboding, some words forgotten, some eyes foreclosed by gun or rope. These words mean nothing and everything. Exactly. Similar or sense-making. There's always a promise of happenings, painful, but no one talks about winter in Indian summer, yet everyone knows. My brother says black means not so okay to the world. My uncle says that Parliament Funkadelic will return to reclaim the pyramids. My grandfather says nothing to me I have ever really heard. And my grandmama says Jesus, and everyone grumbles amen. But isn't there always a something no one ever says to their children? Until shoeless boys like me grow dizzy with thoughts they can't pin a word to or put a finger in. Everyone in the world never talks about me to me, and that's fine. Because today, summer runs like a puppy chasing butterflies, a divining rod spinning forever and nowhere exactly. Lewis says the janitor who worked 20 years in our middle school got foolish enough and bought a home in that neighborhood where we were bused. And his house, but not really him, was blown up dead. Exactly. I hear houses complain about the heat all the time, especially when summer swings from their clogged gutters like a grinning chimp. I've named these woods 5 boxed corners of fruit for the grapes, figs, apples, strawberries, blackberries, and snakeberries we don't need. Okay, that's 6. But tomorrow, I'll scale the tall hill past the creek, past the sunken mine shafts. Even if there are ticks with blood bags they stuff like Santa Claus, even if there are black riddles with hourglasses leaking the days of our lives, even if the world ends over the peak of the next hill, ends with animals carrying crazy big teeth, I'll let them bite me a little, as long as they snuggle up and tell me their secrets. Thank you very much, everyone.
Indigo,
Beautiful.
thank you.
Beautiful.
What was that? Tony, did you say something?
Oh, Indigo, I just wanted to thank you for your words and just give you props and much love and congratulations for Everybody's Jonesing for Something. That's coming out in 2021, correct?
Yes.
And then the full-length play has been optioned for, it looks like it's been optioned for a film.
Yes. Yeah. Who knows when that'll come out with this time? And yeah. But.
Well, you know, I know that's not an easy thing. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, you got to have a script, you got to have some powerful work, and then it's a waiting game. So, you know, hopefully that will turn into a film and that you get 100% creative
That would be nice.
Input, because we know how that goes, right?
Yes, we do.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I want to introduce our next poet who, you know, is a really nice guy, and he kind of gave me this nickname, I guess. I don't know where it came from, but I'm originally from San Francisco, and I live in Hendersonville, North Carolina. So I'm actually living in two places. They call this place Hendo, and I'm from Frisco. So it's almost like I got to Hendo by way of Frisco. So I live in two places. So my man Raymond Tyler started calling me the San Francisco freak. The San Francisco freak, but he got it wrong. I'm actually the San Francisco freakazoid. So, you know, I have to correct him there. And then I also found out by rumor, I don't know if this is true, maybe he can clarify, that, you know, Roy Jones and Mike Tyson are going to be fighting an exhibition sometime in the next couple of months, I think. And I think Raymond Tyler is going to get the winner of that. So that's a rumor. He can clarify that. But anyway, that being said, Raymond Tyler is an Atlantic City-based broadcaster, artist, and producer. He hosts the Saturday Night Mixtape on FM 91.7 WLFR and the AtlanticCityBeat.com on FM 96.1 WTTH. He has worked as a columnist for the Shore Weekly and as a graphic artist and cartoonist for Essence, Vibe, and The Source magazines, New York Press, and the Philadelphia Weekly. Ray is the founder of the Arts and Media Think Tank and co-owner of the Little Wellness Arts Center and Gallery. It's my pleasure to introduce Mr. Raymond Tyler.
Wow, thank you, sir. The nickname came from watching too much TV when I was a kid. Let's Make a Deal, all them shows. They used to give away, they would have this section where they would go, members of the Day Studio audience will go home with Rice-A-Roni, the San Francisco treat. And so, you know, that's where they came from. All right, so the first poem I'm going to do is a poem I wrote Saturday on Emmett Till's birthday. It's called The Blues on Money, Mississippi, and it goes like this. There's a blues that will forever be on Mississippi. It ain't going nowhere. Ain't no money that can bring back its joy. Ain't no concert coming that's gonna make me scream, oh yeah, and put my hands in the air like I don't care. Too much blood on Money, Mississippi. Too many unnamed bodies still in the waters there. Too many screams that never died out, still hanging in the air. The stain remains. The ghost of Emmett Till haunts generations of Black children who weren't even born when he was alive. Haunts Black children that haven't even been conceived yet. And the people that lynched him rest well and in peace in Confederate graves. That's what happens when 14 is old enough to hang. It's what happens when Black is guilty enough to shoot. It's what happens when the law looks like 2 a.m. raids on a grandparent's home. It's what happens when murder is just too easy. It's what happens when you get bored with torture. It's what happens when you get so bored with torture, you just say, fuck it, and tie an anchor onto somebody's child and throw the body in the river. It's what happens when a rope, a gun, and the river is your solution to every racial problem in your world. There's a blues on money, Mississippi. The stain remains. Every time I see a picture of myself at 14 or at 25 or from last week, I have to look past the ghosts of Emmett, Yusef, Sandra, Elijah to find myself, usually standing in between Latasha and Trayvon. And Tamir Rice is always up front making gun signs. There's a blues in Atlantic City, New Jersey. The stain remains. And preachers, heaven don't really want no more teens and preteens, pre-tortured when they get there, asking if there's going to be a prom in heaven when they get there, asking who they can have Thanksgiving with when they get to heaven. There's a blues in heaven too when your birthday come and your moms ain't there yet. The stain remains. And my tears for Emmett, for Latasha, Yusef, Elijah, the little girls in Africa, the children in Atlanta in the 80s, the tears for Tamir and Trayvon. Don't wash these blues away. Don't wash these blues away. Don't wash these blues away. So that was that one. And as I said before, God willing, that sounded like a poem. Last poem I'll do before I go for tonight. I'm debating on which one I'm going to do. I'm going to do this one. It's called One More Poem. And I was on a poetry reading the other night, a Zoom poetry reading, and it was a few minutes left. So it was like, well, you know, does anybody have one more poem before we go? And so I wrote this afterwards, just thinking about the process of the prospect of one more poem. And I want to thank AILEEN and all the people who are here while I'm thinking about it. When I said yes to this, I didn't know I was going to be on with John and Karen Bryant Shipp. I was familiar with John Wesley Shipp from The Flash, didn't know the extensive civil rights history that he had, so I'm glad to be here. All right, so this is called One More Poem. Like to hear it, here it go. This poem is dedicated to the people that do not know how to stop, like myself. To the people that ask for one more poem before retiring for the night and turning off the air conditioning to enjoy bedtime, to enjoy a bedtime snack. Just a reminder, it's up to each of us to make our privilege a blessing to someone else. You want one more poem, but I'm asking you to join me in doing the math when we are watching a 14-year-old girl and her mother carrying a car seat through the street. Adding up all the math problems this teen mother will face before 21 if she makes 21. I'm worried about whether she's going to survive the C-section and why her mother would take her to a doctor that's selling her a C-section, but we don't live in the world this 14-year-old girl has imagined in her mind. In her mind, she'll stay with her mother for the next 4 years till she gets a diploma. Her man will step up and she'll continue to sneak out and see him. But in the real world, her mother moves the crib out of the hallway, out of my hallway and into your damn room, because you won't be the one feeding and diaper changing late at night and early mornings. And look, girl, that's your responsibility. In the real world, her man now appears and disappears like the ghost villain on Scooby-Doo, and she has no idea her own father cries in the arms of her mother every night with disappointment. How many poems do you think we can get from this situation? You want one more poem? My Aunt Bev cooks every meal with love. but with not enough grains, not enough fresh fruits and vegetables. She cooks with too much starch. She loves on the pork as it heats on a kitchen stove, and she sings as she seasons it. She prays over it before she serves it to my cousins. And from the cereal with the purple panda that they eat in the morning to the last dessert they have before bed, they have eaten almost nothing but heart disease, high blood pressure, and diabetes. So believe me, prayer is needed with every meal. You want one more poem? I need a hug. I was the firstborn. I've been responsible for every act of God that occurred in my family since 1974. No matter what happens in my family, I'm responsible for fixing it. But I have no one who can hear me when I hurt. When I choke down my tears, I shove down the pain that makes me cry, because that's what men do. I check to make sure I'm alone before I think about my father and how it's my fault he's not here. I did not make him grow old. I did not tax his heart any more than any other son. I did not write the rules to death and life, but when I look into men's fashion stores where my father and I should be shopping together, or when I'm watching TV shows we should be watching together, I ask myself again, what did I miss? Why wasn't I able to fix this one act of God this time? How did this ball drop on my watch? Every time someone tells me, your dad would be proud of you, I tell myself, I totally failed my dad when he needed me the most. So you want one more poem? Here's your poem. I pray for every 14-year-old boy and girl that you'll survive the beautiful age of 14 with the most minimal damage to your future. You definitely want some when I was 14 stories to tell your grands. You definitely are not going to meet the love of your life in 6th grade, however. I pray for everyone that is living in fear of COVID and gun violence and Black people and is the casualty of their daily diet. America been sacrificing health for money since before I was born. So you call me when there's a government shutdown on racism, a government shutdown on police brutality. Call me when there's a daily update on the numbers of people that die from smoking and pollution. I pray for my Aunt Bev that hates the COVID and loves the CNN updates. Tells me Trump is killing America as she puffs her 3rd Newport of the morning and sips orange-flavored Mountain Dew. I pray that God will give me a poem one day that makes me feel like peace, like a river. But for right now, I have to make it on the faith my father left me. Thank you very much.
That was so beautiful and powerful. Thank you so much, my friend. It's always a pleasure to see you and to listen to your works. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I would now like to call back Tony Robles, the People's Poet, and Carl Sandburg, writer in residence. A San Francisco Art Commission individual artist grantee, he was shortlisted for the Poet Laureate of San Francisco in 2017 and was a Pushcart Prize nominee in 2011. Tony is currently assistant publisher at the Cheerful Word. Welcome, Tony.
Yeah, thank you. And, you know, with all of the accolades and the wonderful introduction, I've whittled down to, I have a tennis elbow and I'm wearing a brace. I don't have it on right now, but the ironic thing is I don't even play tennis. So, you know, you figure out how that happened, right? Want to thank the powerful Bethlehem and Sad Patrick in the beginning, wonderful music, and also John and Karen Shipp for sharing powerful experiences and giving us that medicine. So this first poem is called Man and Mother. I looked up at those men as if looking up into the wide arms of a tree. In the interstices, I saw dreams dripping, sun and moonlight. The thick branches scooped me up, and I stuffed my pockets with the fruits they bore: hope, laughter, courage, sometimes fear, and oftentimes absurdity. Those good, bad men whose eyes lit like rims on a car that turned the night into a blur. And just as important was a woman who saw the bad in those trees, but saw the good in them. And as the hungry, starving birds plucked the fruits from my pockets, my mother saw the good. I wanted to be like those good, strong, bad men. I still do. Seeing the good doesn't mean you don't see the bad, but seeing the good in spite of it. I see now that those good, bad men were strong, but my mother was stronger. And one more for you. My father lives in Hawaii, and he was originally from Frisco, you know, and he grew up kind of in the life, you know, and when he moved to Hawaii, he realized who he was in the bamboo forest and in the faces and in the feel and in the grains of wood. That he found his purpose in life. And this poem is just called Dad. So this is kind of a parental evening for me, right? But this is called Dad. He spends his time carving wood, carving faces into wood, stories into wood, life into wood. Way back when it was mopping floors, washing windows, shampooing carpets, and cleaning toilets. Did I mention that he made the best fried chicken and chili beans I've ever had? His hands are thick like wood, brown and strong. With knife, he carves thick lips, big fat noses and eyes. He used to carve lechon, but he doesn't eat pork much anymore. Crisscross cuts adorn the skin of the wood as he gives it the detail that comes naturally. Carving his sorries and sorrows and embers and I remembers into the endless grains of wood. You have to know how to treat the wood, Dad says, carving yet another story. Thank you.
Powerful as ever. Thank you so much, Tony, and thank you for helping out tonight. I really appreciate it. Thank you, Tony.
Thank you.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our other co-host, poetess April J. Armstrong, who is a South Carolina-based poet, voiceover narrator, and entrepreneur. The author of the poetry collection A Glass Mirror, April is also the radio and TV host of Your Oral Diction at Black Love Poetry Series. Please welcome poetess April J. Armstrong.
Hello, hello. Can everybody hear me? Do I get a thumbs up? Everybody good? Okay, good. Hello all, thank you. First, let me say John Wesley Shipp, Karen Shipp, thank you for being here as special guest, as well as Bethlehem. I need a CD. So please do not forget me. And yes, my name does say Aquil Ali right here, but no, I am your favorite little chocolate drop poetess, April J. But thank you, AILEEN. We definitely appreciate you for allowing us to come through and afford us this opportunity to be on Power to the Poets Vote for Change. With that being said, again, yes, I am poetess April J. Armstrong, your favorite little chocolate drop. I am co-CEO of Black Love Poetry Series Network, where Black love is all love. We do invite you to our family 7 days a week, 8 shows, all airing at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. But I will step back. I'm not going to get too much in our network, but we definitely would love each and every one of you to come through. And AILEEN, you know you are a family, a sister always. So thank you, love. With that being said, I'm not going to keep you long because we are here for a purpose, for poetry, and not just poets we are, but spoken word artists. So I am going to introduce our very first poet for the evening. Hailing from the Bronx in New York, Timothy Proctor, also known as Mr. Wispers, was a ghostwriter of poetry to well-known actors and actresses in Hollywood and a performing artist at the world-renowned Nuyorican. Mr. Wispers is currently whispering yet another poetry album entitled Genesis 1:16. The other half of the baritones of Blog Talk can be found every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. on blogtalkradio.com on Black Love Poetry Series Network. Please give your love to Mr. Wispers.
Hey, how y'all doing? Hello, everyone. How are you? Thank you, April, for that introduction. Thank you, AILEEN, for having me join you guys. Wow, that band in the beginning and John, wow, all the poets I've heard so far was amazing. I'm not going to hold you up much longer. I'm just going to do my piece and get out. And here we go. This piece is called Changing, by the way, and we are about voting for change. Here we go. Ask yourself, what would you change for? I'm quite sure it's plenty. And I'm not talking about change of a 20, simply change direction. And it's pointed like an erection. It's even harder than a journey. Turn me into something that I'm not. Worthless labels ain't worth the pain from not changing, because change, it changes things. And the same things remain the same, but this poem is a game changer. Look at the stranger in the mirror and look into his or her eyes and see what I see. And it just might be you. The you that you thought you've lost that would have caused less change to promote great change. Maybe I'm just preaching. But there's a reason that God deemed me intravenously through them pens to bend life into something beautiful. And sometimes change is unusual. But change is something you have to choose to do with no one to prove it to but you. You're worth that. So believe in your name. Remember who you are from the roots. You're the one. And change is who you become in the face of adversity. So persevere. Put God there first. It's been in you since birth. How many willing to die first? Maybe we're too diverse. Not changing is a curse. So don't get cursed out. Remain in your change and let God order your steps. He already supports you with breath, and I'm just trying to breathe life into my change, and I came a long way. Only to say that I'm doing the same things, expecting different results. That's insanity. Some fantasy that's far from reality. I want to be important, and you can be, but just make sure you keep a plan B. Some people change their clothes 3 times a day, but never change their mindsets in decades. Change the channel, because what you're watching is watching you, is what our children are glued to. So no change will eventually change your address. Have you addressed who you are yet? That change is not far-fetched, maybe a bit stressed out of shape, but faith in your change will gain momentum in your everyday life. But changing is not the omen, but it's time you start living your life like it's golden. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
I got,
Wispers. You have another piece?
You're welcome. Yes, ma'am. I got one more piece for you guys, and I'm going to get out your hair. I'm doing a little family thing here, but it's a wonderful thing. Here we go. This piece is called Codes. I was going to hold this piece back, but then I started listening to what was going on here. I said, oh, I can't hold this back. I got to let it go. This piece right here is called Codes. I'm from the hood, where the young mothers, they juggle WIC, welfare, sex toys, and dope boys to manage. And the dope boys keep AR-15s that speak Spanish. You can't mingle if you ain't bilingual. It's single bolt action parenting around here. It ain't safe. And the women brace so they don't see their sons or their husband's face snitching on the first 48. Helicopters and choppers, the metal holler like rock wallers. Whoa! I gotta get up and go to work in the morning. And see, the yellow tape, it got me yawning because I'm tired of all the gunfire. My desire is to move, but the slavery is economic and it's atomic to your soul because you can't see it from the gate. And by the time you do, around here, it's too late. Poor education. And the veterans and the elderlies are still working on 9 to 5 to pay for their medication. That's the code of the streets. The city never sleeps. Even the creeps get crept on. You got to keep your mindset Teflon to survive around here. They say that weak people, they die around here. So to stay strong, keep your wind long. How do I crack the code of equality? It's probably locked in the vault in the Vatican's with the other 13 books of the Bible. I can't go to an ATM and punch in the code and get survival. But I'm liable to get shot for writing this poem, but I insist on inking it. I know I wasn't the only one thinking it. And before I do, maybe I'll get blackballed. But I want to ask John the Pope is the code of the street inside that black doorway. Maybe I'm too much of an intellectual. Is it true that King James is a homosexual? Who has the code? Somebody does. I think the true answer is love, but the whole city thrives on drugs. And the piss poor, they stay pissed off for nothing. And the young savages, they don't mind offing your on button for the code. The explosive explode. I don't care what y'all say. I think maybe the code of the street is hidden under Donald Trump's toupee. And in my hood, we wear Air Force One shoes to stay fly. And the president gets to fly in the Air Force One helicopter with OnStar. So you think if we all got together and we bought enough pair of shoes, we get to fly with a porn star? I wonder how high can she reach? Probably about as high as a foreign wife in red bottom stiletto stealing Michelle Obama's inauguration speech. It doesn't take an ophthalmologist to see that that's the code of politics, perhaps. Perhaps they'll make a sun when her moon collapsed. The facts is that it's like we don't exist. It's like we're all put on a blacklist. It's a disgrace. I just want to get the code so I could get my personal life erased from social media. And then one day get this poem printed in an encyclopedia. I wonder, did they label me in slavery and my code is my social security number? How many slaves went under before they got over? I don't know. But I know for this virus right now, Donald Trump had got the code. In peace. Thank you.
Yes, sir,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Wispers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please make sure to catch this gentleman Wednesdays, every Wednesday on the Flame Within, Black Love Poetry Series Network, blogtalkradio.com. He will drop that information in our chat group.
Yes.
That's my dog.
God bless you.
You have a wonderful night, Wispers. Make sure you stay around now.
Yes,
loves. Thank you. I appreciate you for all being here with us tonight. That was Mr. Wispers, and we're going to keep it rolling to the next Black Love Poetry Series family. Tynea Smith, Miss Queen T herself, is the CEO and founder of the Still Breathing Movement, Inc., curator of the Cup of Tea segment, and new radio host on Black Love Poetry Series on our Pick a Poet showcase airing every Sunday night, with co-host and partner in rhyme Sophia Pope. Featured in numerous anthologies, Queen T has shared the stage with some of the best spoken word artists under the pseudonyms Prophetic Poet and Cream Tea. Please welcome to the mic our wonderful and beautiful hostess herself, Queen T.
Good evening, everyone. I'm speechless. I don't even know what to say. This is beautiful. All I can say is, listen, get out and vote. Like I say all the time, our voice has victory, and no one can hear our victory or the triumph if we have nothing to say. So I'm encouraging you to get out and vote. Okay, so I'm going to get out your way. Both these pieces are untitled, and this is actually my first time writing about my feelings concerning what is going on currently. Who would have thought the flag, beautiful red, white, and blue colors, would be prophetic description of what we call the land of the free and the home of the brave? While the unlawful in uniform suddenly come down with the case of the hide thy hand syndrome, while we the people are broken till we are black and blue, and if we fight back, we end up grasping our air and suffering from an asphyxiation in a world where air is free of charge. Every pure, innocent soul was as white as the white line paper. Let me say that again. Every beautiful soul was as white as the white line paper before the blood seeped through. What is it that we call the end? Is the end really the end, or is it the beginning of a cycle? And if we break cycles, how can we break cycles and not know that a cycle has begun? No, a cycle has not begun, but it has continued. I've watched my seniors live through this, and I know for a fact that it hasn't ended, but it is just beginning. But where is our voice in this world? Where is our victory? Because our victory has power. Our voice has power. And if we don't speak, if we stay silent, no one hears change. No one sees change. No one is moved by change or your words that said there is change, because change hasn't come if we're not ready to encapsulate it. We're not ready to give up the chains, the bondage for freedom. Freedom, let freedom ring is what they say, but I don't hear any ringing. I don't hear ringing. I don't hear the phones ringing. I don't hear a ringtone. All I hear is the ringing sound of someone constantly nagging in my ear and in my spirit, saying he's making America great again, while we, the people, are suffering at his hand. Where's our voice in this season? Where's his voice in us? How do we hear God in us? And where is our hand in the victory? Our victory comes when we move. Our victory comes when we step out. Our victory comes when we stand tall. In peace. Let's see. I have one more for you, and I'm going to get out the way.
Thank you, love.
Okay, so let's see. Sometimes exercising your right to be silent is one of the hardest wrongs made right. And I'm overwhelmed with the idea that it's right to surrender what's rightfully mine in exchange for candlelight. These last 4 years have been exhausting and full of self-diagnosis, involuntary fasting, lack of proper life-sustaining medications in our possessions. Yet we have been fed lies and digested reality and prescribed our own formula to save our own lives. We were left to rely on the God that heals and prays for the miracles of our loved ones. Our vets still lacked housing in exchange for their decorated suits of honor, while a man that found my skin color disgusting was decorated with one of the highest medals of honor in America. Black Lives Matter is stitched on just about everything, yet still don't matter enough to allow us to breathe. Breathe in the air that God has given, breathe in possibility, breathe while we are dreaming undisturbed. And when you ask someone why my own life don't matter enough, their answer is, well, I'm learning what I've yet been mastered, and yet my master is serving the America who's making America great again. My ancestors have considered to forgive what you have asked us to pardon from the past, yet we are sitting in this season waiting for the change that currently needs to be made. It's not considered the past if it affects your future. It's not considered the past if it even affects your present. And listen, spills into my seed's future. Change has to come. I'm pushing with the momentum of a tribe I have yet to meet and the power of the God that has never left me. Somehow surviving what would have killed the greatest masters of war, and yet I still feel depleted because I still feel like I'm fighting for the bloodshed on the streets in the name of justice. I escaped my fears and pushed through all 4 years, turned the lights on and exposed your darkness. I make sure I am the light. Feeling caged, yet I embodied freedom, swallowed the keys of self-worth, and digested strength so that you can seep right through my pores. And the pain of tragedy produced is converted into hope. November will be my high, my new anticipation, my new dope. I'll be standing, waiting, voting, and exclaiming that emancipation is still my proclamation. In peace.
Spit that ink, poet. Love
That's
it.
my sister.
Queen T, you better come through.
Oh, thank you guys. Love you much.
Love you too. Thank you, love. Queen T, host of Pick a Poet Showcase every Sunday, 8 p.m. live on blogtalkradio.com. We shall move on to our next wonderful spoken word artist of the evening here from the family, Lydia Cook, also recognized as BorntoWrite Poet, is an award-winning spoken word poet, author, and inspirational speaker. The author of 2 books, her work is featured in 5 anthologies and in Tennessee and Ohio public libraries. Cook also hosts the BorntoWrite Poet variety show on the Black Love Poetry Series Network every Saturday evening, or should I say select Saturday evenings. She is also a proud member of Poets, People of Extraordinary Talents, and hosts Beautiful Chaos, a live showing on Facebook as well, where she interviews various public figures here on the family and others as well for the variety. Please, loves, welcome to the mic, BorntoWrite Poet.
Peace and love, y'all. Love and peace. I do want to say it's an honor to be here. Thank you to the host for inviting Black Love. Definitely shout out to John and Karen and everyone else on here. Kai, it's an honor. I'm nervous and I'm excited, but here we go. Born to Write. You say we're crazy, like you don't think we know what you've done. I'll be reading tonight. This poem is for our sons, our mothers, our fathers, and our daughters. Those who were planted in plantations and left for dead, and those with fingers bleeding, picking cotton, sweat pouring from their aching heads. And to those who say we need to leave this alone and that was history, to you, you must be cold-hearted. And if you can't see our tragedies today, then to you it's a mystery. But you think that we're crazy, like we don't really know what you've done. You think that we don't see what you've done, like we aren't living these generational curses, sadly alive amongst our fathers, our mothers, our daughters, and our sons. And you say we're crazy, 'cause you don't think we know what you've done. But we are far from slow motion. Don't you dare think we dumb. And yes, we have had to put ourselves in self-preservation and adjust our seats so we can appear like we're numb. And we're some of the smartest intellectual leaders that you ever will find. And it's amazing that you still can't give us the due respect for our creativity and our mind. But is this saying that I hate every non-Black person that is not Black? No, absolutely not. I'm talking about those that are dark at heart, because they think we're crazy, like we don't really know what they've done. And I had to give homage to our mothers, our daughters, our fathers, and our sons. And I can't imagine how they felt living up under the slave master's hands, the whips and the chains and the hanging nooses. And now in 2020, y'all still want to hang us like we are just running around hopeless and helpless and like we don't understand what you've done to us. And let me digress. This may sound like anger. Well, you're damn right. That's exactly what it is. See, I am tired of the notions and the oceans. I'm tired of going through all of the emotions and the political hype. And yeah, I want to go and vote, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Is it really going to change our life? See, they think we're crazy because we don't really know what they've done. You think that I'm stupid. As I end this poem, I thought like Jane Flo, if I just changed my zip code and if everything in my life was fine, that I was crazy and foolish enough to believe that you would just see me as a person and not another nigga. And I thought for certain if I had never got arrested and I never pulled a trigger that you would just leave us alone. But see, you think that we're crazy, like we don't understand that money is the only thing you respect, so you have to sit upon your powerful throne. Call me an angry Black woman, just call me a woman. Call me angry, just call me Black. Call me frustrated, just call me when the change is here. Because as of right now, all I can see is a lot of anger, frustrations, trials, and tests, and a whole bunch of fear. But I do see hope. I do see hope. I see hope beyond the mountain. Why? Because I am the hope. And I'm not great and I'm not white and I'm not a liar and I'm not full of hype. But there are a lot of people that are waiting with me. There are a lot of people that aren't even brown and black, you see. They are just tired of the degradation and the ignorance, you understand? And I do get it. I know that there's multiple murders that goes on in what you want to call the hood and part of their land. But let me tell you that I see the forest for the trees. I know we don't make drugs and we don't make guns and we don't make any of these things that seem to bring us to our knees. And so I'm going to tell you one more time. I'm going to tell you one more time as I digress in this poetry, these lines, these stanzas, these rhymes. And they think we're crazy, like we don't really know what they've done. Born to write. Peace and love, love and peace. So it's a little bit of revolution tonight, and it's a little bit of love, right? Because we're built of multiple facets. So I have one more piece. It is titled Love Songs. Y'all want to do a short little love piece? April's like, yeah, we went through this earlier. She freaking loved it. So I'm excited. And here we go. There'll be love songs to make you cry. Love songs often do. I said, there'll be love songs to make you cry. Why? Because love songs often do. Some poetic lyrics live a long time in the mind. The right words can linger and give life, and they can share encouragement, overpower the darkness, spark hope, make change, and share light. But there's something about words that are used the wrong way. Poetry is beautiful, poetry is powerful, but like the Bible, in the wrong hands, attached to the wrong heart with sleazy intentions plus greed. Let me not forget to mention that part. See, there'll be sad songs to make you cry. Why is that? Because love songs often do. They'll touch the heart of someone new, saying, I love you. Poetry is beautiful. Poetry is powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, be very careful and very wise. There is so much more to meet the eye than a nice voice and an attractive smile. Listen, there'll be sad songs to make you cry. Love songs often do. Why is that? Because they can touch the heart of someone new, saying, I love you. I'm born to write. Peace and love, y'all.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Amen. Thank you.
Full poet. Beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, we have come to the end of a fantastic evening, and I say the end because we do have 3 more poets left, which is myself, Mr. Aquil Ali, and Miss Emunah The Poetess. The reason why I state this is because we have a trilogy that we would like to spit for you all tonight. I had the fortune of being with AILEEN at the prior Power to the Poets. She asked me to come through personally to spit a piece that she had heard me before. Is everybody can still hear me okay? Okay. And she fell in love with a particular piece I spit, an Emmett Till piece. So Raymond, he's not here, but thank you, very appropriate for him to bring that up. So I will be doing this piece again, but it is actually the first part of a trilogy. So thank you. Yes, we will be opening up these 3 poets lines so we can begin this trilogy, but I do want to say again, thank you so much for having us here, AILEEN. Before I begin my particular portion of the poetry, I would like to have Aquil Ali open up his mic and actually give a little background on this particular trilogy that the 3 of us are going to do.
Hello and greetings to everybody. I enjoyed all the poetry tonight. Big fans of Flash's daddy, I'll tell you that. And Thank you for having us, AILEEN. I appreciate you so much. The idea came when we saw the reports of the young lady who finally came clean on her deathbed of accusing Emmett Till of disrespecting her on that fateful night back in 1956. On her deathbed, she came clean, and I just started thinking, and I gave April the assignment of being this white woman. I chose the white poet at first, and in her spirit, that's how I found out she didn't have a racist bone in her body, because she just couldn't get the part, right? And we eventually put this project together for, it was a monologue, short monologue competition in Delaware. But since COVID has hit, we couldn't do it. But that was an assignment for us. The first part one is the young lady on her, well, the older lady on her deathbed, right? The white lady who accused Emmett Till. The second part is Emmett Till from heaven. And the third part is Miss Till, her mama. And I give you April J.
Now, let me just say before I begin, I do want to speak. Aquil Ali himself is a proud father of 5 daughters, 1 son, and 5 grands. He is a 30-year veteran of poetry and radio, the CEO and founder of Black Love Poetry Series Network, host of the Aquil Ali Show with April J, and Honorable Judge Aquil Ali on the Hip Hop Court. He is also the author of Grindstone for Life and Memoirs of a 3-time ex-husband, excuse me. Emunah the Poetess, our 3rd poetess in this trilogy, is a wife and mother of 2 and loves all forms of writing, but takes a special interest in poetry. She hopes to become a published poet one day, herself a published author, and has surpassed her own goal of writing over 1,000 poems. With this being said, I am ready to go ahead and get into the beginning of this poem, the beginning of the trilogy. And again, thank you for this opportunity of being here. If you've heard it the first time, please bear with me. I will get through, but we will move forward to Aquil Ali as soon as I finish, and then go straight to Miss Emunah herself. I will be speaking this particular poem, from the perspective of Carolyn Bryant Donham, the Southern Caucasian woman who accused Emmett Till of touching her. Over 50 years ago, I lied. This young man died, and here I am still trying to find some type of remorse to exhibit. But invoking this lecherous spirit, my deceitful candor still inhibits me. See, yes, back then I told those men that boy had touched me, had wrapped his innocent hands around my waist, drew me close to his face, and asked me, baby, can I have a taste? Wait a minute, I don't think he said that. As a matter of fact, he wrapped his hands around my waist. What happened next, you asked? Well, let's talk happenstance. See, I was alone, minding the store that night. Now imagine my startling fright when this slick young nigga walked in. I couldn't help but to begin to fantasize of all the illegal sins this boy could place my body in. But here's these men sitting, listening to me tell my propagated story. See, little did I know that one now seeking atonement before death's door, because my recollection of what happened at the store landed this boy's corpse at the bottom of the Tallahatchie. 3 days of obvious abuse and pain was the only unrecognizable trace left in his face. When his mother kept the casket open, we bared witness to the reality of white privilege, because that nigger boy stepped out of line, condemned to die for the crime of whistling at me, a white lady. That boy didn't get tried by 12, but carried by 6, because he stood by the chocolate candy case waiting for me. licking those thick lips. He teased me by touching my hand, caressing my senses with his northern swag. But I couldn't tell these men that, how I was digging this 14-fine-year-old crackerjack. Had to give them what they wanted to hear. This nigga thought he was big city. They was happy to show how they do in good old Mississippi. Forced from his bed, laid a shot in the head, way down, barb wrapped around his neck, left for dead. The court applauded without rogue interruption, exhilarated at this boy's unheard rage. His cries weaved through more of my lies, but please, I didn't know that nigga would be mutilated after my fabricated innuendos in the store that night. One night, because I need you to understand. Nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him. But it wasn't my ability. Hear the reality of how I wanted this cute young cat to bend me over and blow my back out. Show me all the foul things I imagined, he said. More fantasies, making me want to break free of racial lines to get mine. Never knew my husband and his friend would take this boy's life into his hands, enjoy the execution of best laid plans, and come home to a hot meal and warm bed. But I don't really remember what happened that night. Just that nigga gave me a stalling fright when he walked into my store. In my mind, I heard nasty movie lines, but nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him. So yes, here I lie on my deathbed, praying for absolution. When I sat on the stand, those 12 men didn't care I perjured myself to save face because they rolled out their southern taste of justice in this fixed case. Still, nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him. Now, after all this time, I'm telling you, I lied. All those unwanted advances never happened. At least, not as bad as I said they did. I mean, I was just a 21-year-old kid. Here that boy came and gave me some excitement in his quiet, relentless pursuit of me, showing his conquest off by whistling in front of his boys. It cheapened our moment, ruined the fantasy, but nothing that boy did could ever justify what happened to him. But now, opening old wounds, my ears fall deaf to a mother's sobs for burying her child. Not once did I even care to listen. A black nation's belly gutted, still no remorse. And never have I uttered an actual apology for the record. And after all this time of telling this lie, have I never mentioned that boy's name.
My better likeness shook the world. My tethered body scared the boys and girls. No one could hide their cries. Why did I have to die? They tried to hide my body where the high rivers tide, weighed me down with a 70-pound fan, but still I rise. The truth will be revealed. These mean men try to peel my face from my skull with a hatchet, severed my boy parts to a unique status. They cut out my tongue, mama, with their ungodly shame. Silence because I was screaming out your name, blame my punishment for having those northern ways. I was just a kid from Chicago. I didn't know how things go down here in the Jim Crow South. Dismembered my lips for whistling with my so-called disrespectful mouth. I'm just a city kid, pranking, joking with my southern friends. My cousin faces reveal the grave mistake I made. Kidnapped and given a brand new name. Nigga, I'm worthy to converse with a southern belle. Do tell, I made her uncomfortable when our hands touch. Unaware of how this lady's passion has struck a nerve. She's the real perv. I'm only 14 years old with a heart of gold. But mama, why are these white folks so mad? This diabolical situation was very sad. Drag, torture, snatched from my peoples, this can't be right. Removed from my sleeping bed in the thick of night, drunk up and beaten and shot in the head. Drowned by these devious heads, but God has told me my circumstance has purpose. To dare pull this curtain, one thing's for certain, my body may be mangled, but my spirit and soul carefully under new management. God has this handled. They won't escape his godly court. All my bad parts will report the sorrow they bestowed on me. They will not be forgiven. No worries, mama. I'm going to meet you in heaven. And tell Grandpa I applaud his courage after all. Tell him I saw him stand tall when he identified my killers in a court of law. In front of all of y'all, I know they would have killed us all if he had tried to stop us on that fateful night. I know it's killing him that he had to sacrifice me. In his heart of hearts, he thought I would only receive a good talking to. Maybe a bruise or two. I'm just a kid. What was they really gonna do? Hoping my beautiful baby hazel eyes will save my life. Please tell them to dry his eyes. Stop blaming yourself for why I died. The torture I've endured is not in vain. I heard them calling my name. I felt the praise display, but these crackers are literally insane. Hopefully the world teach them to say my name again and again. Hopefully no other mother had to suffer the same. Trayvon. But my vengeance is mine, said the Lord. In due time, he'll settle the score, and we'll all be together again. I'm sure we will, because these are the fearless words of Emmett Lewis Till. In peace.
There's some things in life that a person shouldn't have to endure. Some pain too great to bear. Broken hearts that could never be cured. I came to this realization the day that my son was taken away from me. Never in a million years did I think I would suffer such a tragedy. My baby, my handsome baby boy, was mutilated, castrated, shot in the head, body wrapped in barbed wire, all because he whistled at a white woman. Because of that, my son is dead, dumped in the river in hopes of never being seen. But yet that body somehow surfaced. What's done in the dark always finds a way to come to light. And what they did to him ain't right. There's some things that the eyes can never unsee. The pain that I felt was so heavy, I thought it was gonna be the death of me. Nobody's perfect, but he was so innocent in all of this. And the fact that grown men were able to inflict so much pain upon a child is something I'll never get. He was a prankster, like most boys his age. Mischievous but respectful. I was his mother, but we were more like siblings. We were always on the same page. I wish I would have made sure that he was always aware of things that you should and shouldn't do. From that perspective, I feel a slight bit responsible for what happened to him too. Maybe he wouldn't have whistled at a white woman that day, and things wouldn't have ended for him in such a tragic and brutal way. Court proceedings were a joke, to say the least. It took 45 minutes for a not guilty verdict. I couldn't help but face the immense feelings of defeat. I was treated like a criminal instead of the grieving mother that I was. It didn't bother them that a young boy was tortured and shot in cold blood. As far as they were concerned, that was just one less nigger for them to worry about. That's how it was down south. But they didn't know him the way that I did. His favorite subject in school was science, and he loved to play baseball. He was such a good kid. I insisted that the casket not be closed. What they did was wrong, and I wanted the whole world to know. And they did. The world mourned with me. People were forced to deal with the reality of the situation and this monstrosity. They needed to see the effects of racism and what happens when it rears its ugly head. It leaves mothers crying endless tears of heartache and young Black boys tortured and shot dead, or worse. How many more times will mothers have to identify bodies and take those slow rides in a hearse? When he was buried, a piece of me was buried too. I cried so much and it hurt so bad. I didn't know what else to say or do. America cried with me as I mourned the loss of my only son. And the ugly truth of the nature of this crime showed how far we had truly come. I gotta keep fighting. My son's death would not be in vain. I wouldn't want anyone else to have to go through this kind of pain. This is the worst pain that any parent could ever feel. And what happened to Emmett proves that racism is very real. I grew stronger through the years, but find myself crying still. I will never let the world forget what happened to Emmett Till. In peace.
Again, we invited you 8 shows, 7 days a week, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on blogtalkradio.com. And again, everyone be safe and take all the precautions. And definitely, when you have the opportunity, get out there and vote. Thank you, AILEEN.
Thank you so much, April, Aquil, and Emunah for such a powerful, powerful set. Before we end, I asked my good friend Elijah Pringle to sing a song for us.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to listen, but very quickly, this song that I wrote, like African Americans, we've had to piece together our own culture because it was taken from us, so we had to recreate a culture of our own. So this song is called To Thee I Sang. It is my patriotic song, and it takes pieces of patriotic songs and I restructure them into this piece. Light beams down and bends at my bed, runs across the covers and straps my head. The shade is torn by the dawn's early light. God bless America, the church beams were out late last night. America, America, land of grime. America, America, full of crime. Sweet land of poverty, to thee I sing, to thee I sing. Talking cards full of promises and lies. This idealism will exhaust alibis. Some surviving, but so proudly we hail. Big brother's happy because he thinks he hasn't failed. America, America, a chicken in every pot. America, America, each man makes his lot. Sweet land of hypocrisy, to thee I sing, to thee I sing. The glass cymbals as the trolley drum rolls. My bedrock's fractal linking my souls. And the gunshots are the bombs bursting in air. See the dead soldiers all over the stairs. America, America, I'm fighting thee. America, America, watch as I bleed. Sweet land of hypocrisy, sweet land of poverty, sweet land of morbidity. To thee I sing, to thee I sing. to thee I sing. I do believe we shall overcome one day.
So much, Elijah. Thank you so much. I've unmuted everyone. Thank you so much to all our esteemed guests, Bethlehem and St. Patrick, Harini Krishnan, John Wesley Shipp, Karen Bryant Shipp, James Cagney, Coggin, Indigo Moor, Raymond Tyler, BorntoWrite, Emunah, and my co-hosts, Tony Robles and Armstrong, and to everyone who joined us on Zoom and Facebook Live this evening. We only have 96 days till the most important election in our lifetime. Please remember that only two candidates really matter in this election. One of them has laid out an economic recovery plan to benefit communities of color, and the other needs to go. Because our country cannot survive with a non-leader who minimizes the violence being perpetrated against Black Americans, who deploys unwanted militarized federal agents for personal gain, who opposes mail-in ballots for selfish reasons, and who has mercilessly petitioned the Supreme Court to invalidate the Affordable Care Act, which provides insurance coverage to 23 million Americans in the midst of a pandemic, which has already infected over 4 million individuals and rendered 30 million unemployed. When you vote this November, please think of the children in cages, the seniors on the victims of racial violence, the families affected by COVID-19. We need to do our job and choose a leader who will have the courage and integrity to do what's right for the weakest among us.
That's right.
The vote is our most powerful weapon and everything that Representative John Lewis stood for. In his last love letter to America, Representative Lewis wrote, "Let the spirit of peace and the power of everlasting love be your guide." Thank you for listening. Stay safe and stay strong. Good night, and God bless everyone.
Good night, Eileen. Good night, everybody.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you, John. John and Karen, I'm using your father's story in my next poem. Sorry, I'm a thief. But great artists steal. Great artists always steal.
All right. Just be sure you send me a copy. That last piece, oh my God, that Emmett Till trilogy. Thank you. Thank you all so much. That has got to be recorded. That has got to be recorded. And that song, I love that song at the end. Elijah, thank you.
I was asking Karen to sing We Shall Overcome.
But I hope you'll be singing along. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. All right. All right. This was the most powerful thing. I could not have imagined coming into it how powerful this experience would be. And I thank everybody here. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Thank you.
Love
Well,
you.
I'm going to go in a room and start crying so I can relieve myself because I'm just overwhelmed. I just have to tell you, I'm just overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed. And I just feel like we have not even done enough. We are such a shadow of what our parents stood for and what they were. And I've got to bring honor back to them because they are very ashamed of where we are. And I'm going to take away that shame. Yes?
Email everyone.
Oh, okay.
Email address, if that's okay with everybody.
Oh yeah, I always put my email. I forgot. I was so overwhelmed by today. I forgot to put my email in there.
Yeah, I would really like to have that.
You guys had me crying a lot. I'm not happy about this.
I was trying to hold on when Emunah and Mom started. I'm like, I heard Mom all through that. I'm okay. Okay,
Yeah.
I got you.
I don't know if I like Aquil Ali anymore because that was, you guys were masterful, and I can't, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the name correctly, but is it Emunah?
Emunah.
Oh, Emunah. Okay, good. Well, I will get it, but you guys killed me. Don't do that to me. Warn me when you're going to do that, please.
That was Bethlehem. She bought it all out of us. That over there. That was Bethlehem. She bought it all out of us.
I love you.
Her and that musicality earlier. Yeah.
For real.
So thank you for staying up.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's okay. Night owls here. Night owls.
So
thank you so much. You all have a wonderful evening and be safe.
Yes.
You too. Yes.
Everyone.
Love you too. Y'all take
Love
care.
you. Love you.
All right, everyone, please, my email's there. Please write to me. I love getting love letters and hate mail.
Elijah, AILEEN is going to do email for all of us.
Yes, that'll be good.
We got you over here, AILEEN. We got you at Black Love. Don't worry. Let us know. We got your back. We got your back.
Good night.
Whatever I can do. Bye.
Good night. Love you all.
Love you
all.
Karen, I'm coming to Decatur. I was born and raised in Decatur, where it's greater, so I will be there.
Were you?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am. I'm original
my
Georgia
word.
peach, even though I'm in South Carolina, but I grew up right in Decatur. Yeah.
We just got rid.
My grandfather did.
You know, we just got rid of that Confederate monument.
For real? Really?
We got rid of it. They took it down the night before. And guess what? Guess what? I'm going to spring this. Beacon Hill Black Alliance is suggesting that a statue of John Lewis be erected there as a young man with the knapsack and everything to inspire the youth.
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my God.
I know where I'm coming, taking pictures, bringing my sons too.
Please come and contact me and let me know you're here. Okay?
I will do so. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
You're
Good
welcome.
night, y'all.
Good night. Bethlehem, I want my CD. Want my CD. I got your information. I'm stalking you till I get it. I got you.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you. That's so fun.
Bye, sissy.
Everyone. Thank you, April. Thank you, everyone. Bethlehem.
Thank you, AILEEN. Have a good night, honey. Thanks, y'all. Well, until next time. Bye, Ty.
Bye, baby.
Good night, everyone.